This may be the video that has taken the longest time ever for me to make, because today we're going to be talking about a airsoft rifle that I've been using for 5 years now, and it has worked without failure, and that is the VFC Avalon SOPMOD M4. I like it so much, in fact, I own 2 of them. So let's talk about my experience with these, kind of a retrospective over the last couple of years, and seeing how they've aged compared to some of their competition. Now, I picked this up because I wanted a rifle that could be used for a variety of different kits, and the basic M4 fits that like nothing else. Now, they offer more than just the SOPMOD M4, which is this model with the Knights Armament quad style rail. From the factory, they come with a SOPMOD stock that I traded out, but within the Avalon line, they have their original rifles. I think they call them the VR-16, the ones that don't really look like a military rifle, but if military rifles are your jam, like they are for me, they also have their Mark 18s, they have Block 2s, they have MCXs, they now have URGIs, which is super cool. So if you want a mil-spec rifle, the VFC Avalon series, I think, is the best option right out of the factory. So that being said, you're going to get with this is the external quality that VFC is known for. It's a nice, high-quality metal body. Even after all these years, the handguard doesn't shake around, and these Knights ones are known for not being super stable in the real world. This is incredibly solid. I mean, I've fallen on these guns, I've dropped them, and they just keep on going. Other guns I've literally seen like snap in the cold weather because it was negative like 5 outside and the body just couldn't handle it. I've seen them break at the buffer tube before. So the VFC Avalon I still think is one of the best bodies in airsoft for an AEG. And the cool thing with the SOPMOD M4 specifically is you kind of get 2 looks in one. And the reason that I say that is it's a 14.5-inch barrel, which is going to be standard for like a US infantry M4, but it's actually a 2-piece barrel. This barrel splits at the 10.3 inch mark, like this one right here, which is just behind the bayonet lug, which is a nice little feature because there are some rifles out there that were 10.3 inch versus 10.5 inch. And if you're building a clone rifle, like I wanted to do with these originally, that is a noticeable difference if you are looking for it. Because it's a 2-piece barrel, the barrel on these is only set up for that 10.3 inch. So like this is just empty right here. So if you want to put a suppressor on the 14.5 inch version, I would consider getting a longer inner barrel to go inside of there. There's nothing right here. And eventually you're going to have barrel strikes with your BBs. But that being said, the externals on this are absolutely great. It looks and feels amazing. The area that I think VFC could use some improvement on is the internals after all these years. After 5 years, I am happy to say this gun is not broken, which is amazing to me. Because for the longest time, I told myself that, when I got it, which, in full disclosure, 5 years ago, I got this from Fox Airsoft as part of a sponsored deal. I'm not sure if I still have to mention that all these years later, but they were kind enough to provide it. But getting back on topic, when I first got this, I was like, I'm just going to run it till it breaks, and then I'll do a progress report. And then a year passed, and then 2 years passed, and then 3 years, and 4, and now we're almost at 5 years. April 2025 will be the 5-year point of having this, and it just keeps on chugging along. Is it the best airsoft gun that I own? No, I think there's better guns, and there's been some, improvements that have become industry standard since then, but the VFC Avalons are still very competitive, and I would say with them, even with like ones that you bought today, where they do have some upgrades, like I see a lot of VFC Avalons are getting Dean's connectors from the factory versus the Tamiya that both of these are hooked up to, which is a huge improvement. It should be the industry standard. I would do to these what I would recommend people do to any airsoft gun, and that is replace the hop-up bucking and replace the motor. If you want to get a new inner barrel, sure, I think the inner barrel in this is fine, but those 2 things I always recommend to people. These things still chug along. The weird thing with the VFC Avalon series, not all of them are created equally in terms of their motors. I know that some rifles get different motors in them. I'm not sure what determines which gun gets which motor, but some in the Avalon lineup are not very good, so I would just replace it wholesale. Like, no matter which one you get, plan on getting a new motor. It's not an expensive upgrade, and it's going to make your airsoft gun a whole lot snappier than what it originally comes with. The other thing that I wish that the Avalon series had that other brands do, which is a really nice thing once you're used to it, is having a quick change spring system. So from companies like Specna or Arcturus's M4s, you can take the castle nut off, remove the buffer tube, and then there is a little slot where you can take the spring out of the gun and replace it. Like, let's say you want to go indoor, these have an outdoor velocity from the factory. You put your new spring in, close it up, put the buffer tube back on, and you're good to go. Once you have that feature, as soon as you start using an airsoft replica that doesn't have it, it sucks. Like, that's the one thing I don't like about these. Luckily, I own two now, so one's going to be tuned down to indoor, and one will be an outdoor one. Like this one over here is just a work in progress. One of these is going to get turned into a URGI one of these days. That's one thing I wish the Avalons had. And if they're going to do a refresh on these, that it would be my big recommendation to add that feature, because it's super handy as a player. But, you know, somehow after 5 years, it's still working perfectly fine. Everything still feels incredibly solid. Again, I've dropped these, I've fallen on them, I've taken them to several Milsim West events where they've just gotten dumped on in rain or sat in the cold. They just keep on chugging along somehow. You know, I'm in love with them. You know, again, if you are the type of person that is looking for a rifle that is going to be, you know, that military-looking rifle, because for whatever reason, so many brands either have their own designs that kind of look like race guns, or they look like space guns. Like, they don't look like anything that actually would be used in the real world. And for a lot of players, myself included, who kind of like airsoft for the realism, the milsim side of things, I think it's a huge missed opportunity. The final negative that I will say about the Avalon, which again, I love this gun. However, when I got it from Fox Airsoft, at the time, the retail price was about $350, which is reasonable for an all-metal gun with good externals, the basic, you know, exterior, you know, with just the basic quad rail, not an M-lock rail or, you know, a big ol' Mark 18 rail. These are now $450. And I know what you're going to say. Lane, you've had this for 5 years. Of course the price has gone up. The price of everything has gone up in the last 5 years. And you're right. The MCX is the same price. The MCX, the super Gucci, cool guy gun with the, you know, special handguard, the cool retractable stock, it's the same price as the basic M4. And, you know, I'm sure, like, you know, the expensive stuff that goes into it is the same, but that just blows my mind that this is the same as their, like, best offering out there. Again, I really like this because I do infantry kit, I do other kits that use this as a base for the impression. However, I don't see a lot of people buying these because they're seen as the basic option unless this is your jam for an impression. I see a lot more people grabbing the MCX nowadays or the Mark 18. I don't know what those URGIs that they just came out with are cost-wise, but I would see why people would prefer those over these because of that price difference. I think $450 is a little high for this, honestly, even in today's market where prices being a little higher. And if I had to do this all over again and buy it from scratch, ooh, I would be shopping around for some different options. You know, owning this for the last 5 years, I definitely have some sentimental value. You know, maybe I'm seeing these through rose-tinted glasses, but $450 is a lot to ask for a rifle like this, but I still love it. And if this is the thing that you're looking for, if you want the quad-railed M4, I don't think there's a better option out there in the world of AEGs. You know, if you're looking for gas, that's a whole different conversation, or if you're going HPA, you know, these are good donor bodies, but again, $450 for a donor body is insane to me. I would recommend something else for HPAing. But I love these. They are one of my favorite airsoft guns. I don't think they're the best airsoft gun I own anymore. I think some of the stuff that I own from Arcturus kind of edges them out with their better MOSFETs and motors nowadays. But in terms of M4s, I think these still reign supreme. In the M4 market, I think they beat Crytek. I think they beat the Arcturus M4s. Arcturus AKs are a whole different story. That's a whole different video. But I love these. You know, if I had to score it based off of performance and looks, again, I think this is the best line for M4s out of there. The aesthetics play into that a lot. But yeah, I just love these. I wish I had more negative things to say about it, honestly. Like, as a long-term review, I wish I could be like, oh, this broke, and that broke, and this caused me issues. But, like, it just runs. It just works. Again, it's not the best airsoft gun that I own, but there's some games like Milsim West where I prefer reliability. And I just always know that this is going to work. Whenever I'm using a different gun, this is the backup that I bring. It's old reliable to me. So I really enjoy it. And I think that if you buy an Avalon, as long as you don't mess with it, I think you're going to be really happy with it too. Again, little upgrades like your hop-up bucking or your motor, those aren't super serious. But as long as you're not like tinkering with the gearbox just because, I think it's going to be a long life and you're going to get your money's worth out of it. But that's going to do it for 5 years of owning the VFC SOPMOD M4. Again, I really like these and I wish I had more to say about it. They just work. Like, I wish I had more to say than that. But these are incredible, and you're going to see both of them on the channel. Again, I featured them tons of times, but one of these is getting a makeover real soon, so we will see what that is. And when that time comes, I will feature it on the channel. I do just want to say a big thank you to our channel members while we're here, because if it wasn't for their support, well, the BP Warrior simply would not be possible. Channel members get some really cool perks like being able to watch videos early, getting instant access to, other content on the channel, a guaranteed spot in Roast My Kit, exclusive access on the Discord, and even more. So if you want to learn about becoming a channel member, there is information down in the description below for you to check out. My name is Lane, talking about the VFC Avalon series, and I will see you all next time.